Let's start the recording. After all that wisdom that I shared, okay, that's you ladies that get that wisdom today. I'll share it again maybe in the email. That's funny. Okay, so for any of you that don't know what the Akashic records are, I'll just say very quickly, the quickest way for me to describe it is this is where our soul's journey is recorded. And so I can access that wisdom on your behalf, and we can, reach some soul wisdom. My fingernails are black because of gardening today. That's the best kind to be, right? Yeah. And so when I go into the Akashic records, I'll say a prayer. Part of it will be out loud, part of it will be quiet. And then I'll just let you know what's going on, what's coming up for me. And most often I feel some things physically. It's usually symbolic. And we'll see what messages are coming up. When kind of that is kind of gone out, then if anybody wants some individual guidance, just put your hand up and I'll come to you one at a time, and we'll see what the Akash has to say. Is everybody okay if this goes over? I mean, if you have to go earlier and you'd like some individual guidance, just put it in the chat that you need to go, and we'll try and get to you first. I'll get to anybody that wants individual guidance today. So I'll stay here until that's done. But if you need to go, don't feel badly if you need to go. But if you want some individual guidance before we go and you have to go early, just put it in the chat. Okay, you have to leave at 5. Okay. That is 3 my time. Okay. All right. Any questions before we go into the Akash? There are many ways and many prayers that you can go into the Akash. I have found a way that works for me, and it's an old prayer, and it's the way that helps me. And I've taken 2 types of training. The first time that the one person that told me how to go into the Akash and took me in this whole thing, I kind of sat at the table, and then there was this empty book. I was like, oh, this is weird. And then when I did my training with Deanne, so if you ever want to do any training or any learning in the Akash or in any of those things, I would 100% recommend Deanne Rindo or Rose Hope. And just tell her I sent you her way, or if you want an introduction, I can make that connection. Because what she said is, this is a prayer, but what everybody's going to feel is individual. It doesn't, nobody sees it or feels it the same way, and to build a confidence in the way that you see it. And so the first time I was told this is the way it was supposed to look, and it was like blank. But when I was able to go in and build that confidence that no, what you're seeing or hearing or feeling is exactly the way it's supposed to be, I was able to do this much more readily. And so I think for everybody that's kind of delving into that spiritual side, you need to remember that you won't experience it the same way as everybody else experiences it. It's a very personal experience. And you shouldn't ever think that it's wrong if it's not like somebody else has told you it should be. It's your experience. It's your, it comes from your own life experience and all of those things and the way you connect. So it won't be the same way as somebody else, and it's still yours. And it's still right. So try and remember that when you're really connecting with the things that you want to connect with, that there's no right or wrong way. All right, ready? I'm going to assume that you're here, that you're giving me permission to go in the Akashic records. It'll be for the group. Ready? Okay, let's do it. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Help me to know all who are gathered and willing in the light of the Akashic records, to see all who are gathered and willing through the eyes of the lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of all who are gathered have for them. Oh, records are now open. Whew. A little bit of a hitch in my breath as I went into the records a little bit more. Surprisingly, just a little, there's not much here. If you know, there's often a lot here in the throat chakra. It's not bad. I do feel a little bit of heaviness over my head, actually front of my head too. Yeah, a little bit in my throat, a little bit in my chest. So the breath, there's a kind of this feeling of just at times not being able to take a full deep breath with for some of you with everything that's going on, that there's just this breathing shallow, like a shallow breathing. And I can equate it to, like, I remember um when I first left my first marriage, and the first night I spent in our new home, and I didn't actually realize how shallowly I was breathing when I was able to take my first deep breath in that new place, right? That I was walking on eggshells. And so I feel a little bit of this kind of this um, really working on being able to take that full deep breath. And so it's, you don't have to walk on eggshells is what's really coming up for me. You don't have to walk on eggshells. That it's time for you to allow yourself to take that full deep breath. And just like before, when I was talking about, the glasses and, adjusting to something that, makes your life better. Um, when you're not used to being able to take a full deep breath, it's actually a challenge in the beginning. And so keep working through that. It's not gonna feel this hard. It's not gonna feel this hard forever. Um, yeah, you can. That's I just feel this kind of heaviness, and it's okay. It's not going to be there forever. And that you can start small. Just like sometimes when they tell you to just, wear your glasses for an hour at a time when you first get them, right? You just really focus on breathing deeply in the beginning, and it'll come naturally. You're safe. Hey, those are the words. So somebody really needs to hear this. You're safe. Um, this just isn't going to last, whatever this heaviness is. Um, my mouth just got really, really dry. Interesting. Interesting. What does that mean? There are some words that are hard to speak and still need to be spoken. It's not the same thing as when the throat is clogged. There are some words that need to be spoken in their heart, but they're not stuck here. It's just they're really hard to, like, my throat or my mouth is dry and thinking about speaking the words that need to be spoken. And so sorry, my cat is just trying to get into my little greenhouse now. No, I think she's out. Don't know why we love them so much sometimes. um that even though the words are hard to say, then it's really important that you say them. So take a good drink of water and allow them to flow out to the people that need to hear them. You need to speak them for you, but you also need to speak them for that other person. Okay? This is really important. That because it's not just you, they need to hear it too. Um, what I'm kind of feeling is this kind of heaviness, kind of all down, but it's also lifting. And so, like, you've held some things for so long, and this makes sense why these messages came to me before the mint and the glasses. We've held some things for so long, and it's even hard to picture being without them. Um, but they're not serving you anymore. They were part of your life, and it's time to acknowledge that, and to kind of honor that, to say, I know you were here for a long time. I knew you were here protecting me, but it's okay. I can let you go now. You don't have to keep that anymore. You don't need to keep that heaviness anymore. And it keeps coming back. So the stories, you're not that story. I feel this so strongly that um some of you are really holding on to that old story, and you're not that story anymore. You need to, take a step out of that story. Um and part of it is that is it's important that you choose it every day. I'm stepping out of this story that I no longer want, no longer serves me. And every day choose that. Stepping out of this. And honoring, because most often those stories that we've told ourselves or we've heard or that we've held on to, they've been there to protect us and to keep us safe. And to, just to honor that. I know you're here to keep me safe, and I'm choosing to walk out of this story one step at a time, and choose that. Sometimes it's even choosing it every hour. I'm choosing to walk out of this story. The story no longer fits. I don't have to carry it anymore. It doesn't have to be that heavy. Yeah, I got a little bit of neck stiffness. Yeah, let's go. Let's let go of those things we're carrying. Often with neck and shoulder, for me, it's false responsibilities. And there's some that are worried about people they're going to hurt, or relationships that might be impacted by us shedding our stories. And the bottom line is that's what's in your highest good, is to shed your story. And the stories I'm talking about. I know each of you are thinking of that story that you've got to let go of. And it does impact our relationships. It does. And sometimes when we step out of a story, some relationships go with those stories too. And yet other relationships come into the relationships that come in when you decide to shed that story, or to choose to have better for yourself, are the ones that help you to continue to walk out of that story. Not easy though, leaving some relationships behind. And sometimes, excuse me, look, we're getting rid of a little energy here. Sometimes the relationship changes. Like I've got some thoughts around that. Some of this is family relationships that are changing as you step out of that story, and that we have a responsibility to kind of keep in with our family and those kinds of things. And yes, I get that there is this thing about keeping in touch with parents, or siblings, or that kind of thing. And we can do that, but we can change the way that relationship goes. We can choose how that relationship goes. And I know I've spoken to at least a couple of you like this, to say, when you have a relationship that's challenging, and that when you walk away from that, you feel worse than when you started a conversation, it's okay to start changing that, to say, I want to have this conversation, but this is what I'm no longer willing to tolerate. So whether it's bad behavior, whether they like to gossip or talk about other people, or whether they like to be negative with you, or negative about something else, or bring you into a negative situation, you can say, I really want to have a conversation. I love that we have a relationship. And so, not but, and I'm not going to gossip. I'm not going to stay here if you're going to, talk negatively to me. You can put those boundaries on it, and then you can say, I'm going to give you a warning. If you start to go there, I'm going to give you a warning. And if it goes again, I'm going to say goodbye. And then when we're ready to have a good conversation again, we can have that conversation. Yeah, this is tough. These are tough boundaries to put on, but you get to say how your relationships look. And when they don't make you feel good, but you still feel like, it's a relationship that's worth salvaging, you get to choose how it looks. Here's the warning to that, or the caveat. Relationships, people feel safe in knowing how you're going to react in a situation, right? And when you change the way you react, it can send them into a spin. And so their behavior can increase, trying to get that reaction out of you that they've always gotten. Keep being consistent. And if you lose it, it's okay. You can just allow yourself to, it's kind of like that thing. Give yourself grace, and now, oh, geez, okay, what could I do next time? But their behavior often increases when your behavior changes, because they want to deal with the person they know, because that's comfortable. Keep up with what you want it to look like. And it may get to the point where you say, no, it's not changing, and it's just, I can't keep doing this to myself, and the relationship sucks. I call them soul sucking, right? You don't have to give that energy anymore. Okay. The other thing you can do in a relationship is just accept that person for what they are, and know that's what they're going to be when you see them or you talk to them, and just allow them to be who they are. And if you can't be around that, then you get to choose that. But you also get to say, this is not how I want this relationship to be. I'm no longer doing this. The other thing that comes with that is often as very caring and giving people, we see people for more than kind of what they show us. So we go, oh, wow, they had this really tough thing happen in their life. I understand why they behave in this way, because this is how they were, this is how they were treated or whatever it is. And here's the thing, just because we understand where the behavior comes from does not mean we tolerate it. All of us have a choice on how we behave. We all know you're here taking responsibility for yourself and for growing and healing. Everybody has that chance to do that. People know when their behavior is bad. And if they don't know that, then that's probably not somebody you want to be around anyways. Just because we understand where that behavior comes from does not mean it's our job to tolerate it. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. But we've tolerated enough. We've tolerated enough. Okay. That's what I have so far, and I want to get to individual. I know Joanne has to leave. So we'll go with Joanne, but just put your virtual hand up. I know that if you think sometimes, yeah, see if you, nope. If you do this, sometimes it works that the hand goes up for you, or you can push the whatever it is, reactions, and put your hand up. And if that doesn't work, it's okay. You can just put your hand up when we're there. Okay. I still feel this, like, this is really important for you to understand that you're not here to tolerate behavior just because you're kind and you're good, and you're loving. It doesn't mean that you're here to be a doormat. You are an equal, you're a good person, and you deserve to be treated as such. And so you get to put those boundaries. All right, Joanne.
I don't have a question, so maybe just something general. Like
You don't have a question.
whatever you're
Okay.
feeling. I've been going through so much healing and peeling back layers, and you talked about relationships and not making excuses for stuff, and now I see like why my mom treated me the way that she did. And I'm understanding where it came from, but I can't even have that conversation with her because she has dementia and she's just not
Ah,
not fully there.
that's a totally different spot, isn't it? With dementia, that there are many challenges with that. What I'm getting with this is that, um, have you ever, okay, I lost you. Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'm here. I'm here.
No,
The
you
hand went
moved.
down. That's
Yeah,
what
you moved. Yeah. Okay. So, what I'm getting is that, I know this will make sense to you, Joanne, and that your higher self needs to have a conversation with your mom's higher self so that you can move through this yourself. Do you know what I'm saying when I say that? That I know she's not here like physically anymore in that way with the dementia, kind of interrupting that kind of conversation you could have. But your higher self can have that conversation. with your mom's higher self in that connected way.
Can I
I
tell you
think
that
it's a,
I kind of did something like that, but
yeah,
journaling
yeah,
between my grandfather, my mother's father, where a
yeah,
lot of this stuff came from, and her and me like facilitating a spiritual conversation between them because my
right.
grandfather just passed like last month.
Okay.
And that's when a lot of the stuff that she experienced came out because she had never told me.
And so you're having this awakening. So here's the thing, you did that for them. Now this is your time to do this for you and your mom's relationship,
Mhm.
to have that conversation with her without your grandfather. You kind of tried to do that healing with that, but this is now you and your mom, and the healing, and the, the forgiveness that is going to come in from that, because you can't have that conversation with her in this human life, but your higher self and her higher self can have that conversation, because this is about you and your healing now, Joseanne, and it's okay for it to be about your healing. You've done the work to help heal your mom with your grandfather and all of that. This is about you now, and it's okay to take that on, to mend that for yourself, and to offer yourself and your mom forgiveness. And that's the way you can do it. Makes sense?
Yeah, it's not even forgiveness because I have forgiven her. I've never, it's just I'm understanding why she was the way she was.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it is having a spiritual conversation with her spirit to just say, I know how much you love me, and you love me in the only way that you knew how.
Okay. We're actually hearing that a fair bit, aren't we? This loving, everybody loves differently, and it's a real challenge when you love wholly, and part of loving somebody is to give and to be there and all that, and the love that you get from others is not the same, but it doesn't mean that they don't love you. They love you to the ability that they have to love. I mean, you can look at it that way, right? But I do feel, I know you said you've forgiven her, and I see that that's gone a long way. There's just this little bit of this conversation that needs to happen to really just say, I get it. Between just the two of you, though, I get it. I get it. And it's okay. Yeah. 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 You're welcome, Josia. Okay. Really resonating for me, my rest, my father. Beautiful, Jessica. We'll have a conversation. I think you had your hand up, so we'll get there. Okay, Jan. Oh, we need to unmute.
I'm gonna be selfish for once.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I am housebound because I have no car still,
Okay.
and I'm at everybody's convenience, and it's so frustrating and hard because I can't get out to meet anyone, and I
Mm-hmm.
am painfully lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have any possibilities coming up in the near future? I know what I need to focus on. I'm taking a breath work facilitator class through Soma IQ.
Mm-hmm.
They offered me a full paid scholarship. I was like, ah, so wonderful. So I know what I have to follow through, and I know what I need to do, but for me, the nights are so long.
Mm-hmm. Hard to feel that hope sometimes, isn't it? That there is
It is.
especially when you see the things that interfere with some of that ability to get out. Can you open yourself to the possibility that there's other ways?
Yes, but I have not been able to find them yet. I tried with a dating website and they're so expensive. So I do every day, I put a new poem up. And if anybody notices it, if you have, and they ask a question, I answer it through poetry. But no one will step off of the platform to talk.
Hmm.
So
And do you reach out off of the platform?
I can't if they don't give me any email. So I've actually given my email out to a few of them.
What about by messenger?
I tried that too. It didn't work. They wouldn't reach out off of the
Yet,
platform.
yet, yet,
True.
yet. Okay, so there's a few things. I don't know how many times there was at least a couple that you said but in those sentences, right? I'm open, but. I'm open, but. When you put but, what does it do? It negates the entire first part of that sentence. And so I get that the waiting and the patience is challenging. Do not give up hope. And that it's important that you take that but out of there. I am open and I know the ways will come to me in the ways that I am ready for. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that but comes in my language. And it really, really am aware of that because it negates all that. And yeah, I can see I'm open, but this is happening, but this is happening, but this is happening, right? And so when you hear it that way, right, it makes sense when I'm saying it. I am open and I know that that the ways I'm reaching out are going to reach the people that I need to or that I want to, or um I feel like you've done a lot of work in this, in worthiness, in understanding, and for some of you that have done some of these Akashic sessions with me, you will know what I'm talking about when I say this, to know that you are the main course, right? And it's still a work in progress. You also don't need to settle for leftovers, right? And when you understand and you believe that you are worth more and you are worth what you are looking for, and you take the but out of there, it's coming. I don't know why, but the garden is coming in for me. There's something with garden or gardening or something related to that. I don't know if it's gardening groups. I don't know if you're part of a gardening group, or there's tons of them out there. Gardening is coming up for me to just pay attention to, because I'm sure you would love to find somebody, whether this is a friend or a romantic relationship. Gardening is so important to you, and that is a lovely way to meet people. So there's just something coming up with the gardening to to connect to connect Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jen. You are no one's leftovers. You are the main course. And remember that. Remember that. You're worth it. Okay. I'm just going to read what Eliza said, and then we're going to go with you, Denise. Ah, yes. Yes, the higher self conversation is a really, it was interesting. The higher self conversation, my middle daughter was kind of still is, but not so much in an abusive relationship with my grandson's father. And it was suggested to me that my higher self reach out to his higher self. And boy, that was tough. Ooh, when I to allow myself to do that, but I knew this was the only way that I could speak to him in a way that maybe we could have some movement. And it's a bit better now, but he's got to choose, right? I can only do what I can do, and that was having that conversation between our higher selves. And the other thing that I realized, and I guess some people may need to hear this too, is that my grandson's little soul chose to be born into that relationship because his soul needed to have some learning in that. And as hard as that is sometimes to watch, I also have to trust that too. So when you're thinking of, your children or grandchildren or anything like that and what they're going through, just remember their little souls also chose to be with the parents they are, grandparents they are, because it was something they needed to do too. Yeah. Online forums can be helpful. Yeah, build friendship conversations around like interests. Yeah, like I know there's gardening forums, there's on Facebook, I know there's gardening groups. There's probably a gardening group for your area. I know that there's Calgary gardening or an Alberta gardening too. So it's, there are those out there. You just got to search and find them. And I think that's a really nice place because you'll be able to offer some really good advice too, with your knowledge in gardening, and you can have those conversations. All right, Denise, feels like I just talked to you.
Well, that's because we just did. So you kind of know where I'm going to go with this today, I think.
What? Okay.
Or
What
do you,
would you like? No, I want to hear. I want to hear where you'd like to go.
well, so I've been thinking about what we talked about yesterday for these people who don't know what to do with whether or not I should pursue this coaching with an author that I have done some work with. But it's a big investment, and I like money wise, and so I'm fearful of that. Or I'm just questioning my thinking, questioning my judgment. And I don't do it just in this one instance. It's something I do often. Making big decisions for me is very difficult. Sometimes even little ones, but mostly the big ones. Um, and so the soul part you were talking about, kind of curious to know where that wants to go.
The soul
That,
part.
yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that's coming up for me is, can you open up to changing your story that big and little decisions are difficult? Ooh, I feel the resistance, Denise. I feel that resistance.
Yeah, I guess it's something I tell myself a lot is that
Uh-huh.
decisions are difficult for me. I do say that a lot.
Yeah. And you also have a story running in your head that you make choices that are bad for you financially.
Well, yeah, based on history, yes.
right?
That's-
Because that's your story, and you create that, right? When that's your story, you keep creating that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so, but part of that story is that you hold on to is that you don't make good decisions, or that decisions are difficult.
Decisions are difficult, and then I don't follow through. You know what I'm saying? Like finishing, not finishing,
Right.
right? Yep, I'm gonna
So,
invest some money, and then I don't want to do that. Or it's too hard.
so are you willing to change that story that decisions are difficult?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Okay, let's do that then. What do you want that story to be instead?
That I trust my because I think part of it is I just don't trust myself now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, decisions come easily and effortlessly
Mm-hmm.
through my I'm trying to think of my connection with my higher power, like
How about decisions come easily and effortlessly? Period.
visions, choices, are they the
Yeah.
same thing?
Yeah, sure. You can do them both. Here's the thing, you've got to start trusting that. So I would say this might not be the first decision that you want to start to build that confidence with, right? When there's the money kind of in the balance with that. You start with small decisions.
So when you say that, are you meaning like that choice is something I need to look at more, like not jumping into something with so much money involved?
I think until you are fully confident that you can follow through and that this is for you, that's a lot of money to put aside when you're not fully confident in that.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's not
Yeah,
just pocket
yeah.
change,
No, it's not. It's $7,500 for those who are wondering.
right? And if you're this unsure going into it, how do you feel? How do you think you're going to feel once you do that?
Yeah. And
The
so, in other
story,
words, small decisions of trusting myself first and then
and then uh,
building that trust.
from what you're saying to me, Denise, is that you don't know, you're not confident in this enough to say, yes, I absolutely want and can do this.
Well, I said it for a day or two very strongly. And then I go
Right?
back. Yeah. I go back and then I waver and then I start to, yeah, doubt myself again. So it's
Right.
not a steady, no, it's not something that it's just totally,
Right. So when you're making big decisions, it needs to kind of stay with you for more than a day, because we can make those impulse decisions, right? That say, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do. This sounds great. And then we do it, and then it's like, ah.
mm,
So part of that may be that if it's, if it's that one day, that after a day it starts to waver, then you say, okay, I'm going to wait on this decision because I know that sometimes I can be impulsive with making a decision, so I need to wait that day and make sure that I'm fully confident in it.
right. I guess I just don't know how to be fully confident in it. What's the next thing to do?
Right. So for me, there is work to be done on trusting yourself. And you were not at the summit, were you? You weren't at my last summit, were you?
I don't
Uh,
think so.
Okay. So there was a gal on there, Tanya Diamond, who is autistic, and she had the most refreshing look at self-love that I've seen in a long time because it was very clear. And she talked about the first thing. Well, the first thing she said was, "You lie." We lie to ourselves because we say, "I'm going to do this," and then we don't follow through. And so when you know somebody's lying to you, do you like them?
Well, I like them, but I don't trust them, I guess.
Right? Do you like a liar? No, most of us would say, no, I don't really like a
Well,
liar.
no, I mean, I don't,
Yeah,
still like the person. I just don't like their behavior.
right. So so she says it in this way, and it really makes a lot of sense and it's a little jarring. When you lie to yourself that you're going to do this and you don't do it, how do you feel about yourself?
Oh, terrible.
Right,
Beat myself up.
right, right. But we all do this in different ways. So the first part is self-commitment. And so you commit to doing one small thing every day. And I'm talking small. So this could be like if you're want to start doing fitness, it could be I am going to do 5 calf raises when I brush my teeth every day. And you do that for 30 days to show yourself that you can do this for yourself, that you're committed.
Okay.
To change that story, because you said it very clear. I don't make good decisions, and when I do, I don't follow through. So what do
Yeah.
you think is going to happen with this one without having that self-commitment starting, right?
Right. Because it's a big commitment of time as well.
Right.
Huge. Yeah.
But it suits your story to buy it and then not follow through on it.
Mhm.
It just proves that story that you've told yourself over and over again. To
Okay.
do
Yeah.
it and then
Right.
to not follow through, right? That
It's
that just
sorry. Yeah.
yeah, that just makes your story. See, I told you. See, I
Mhm.
told you so, right? That fits your story to create that situation.
Well, I think I'm trying to prove to myself and maybe even somebody in my family that no, this is different, right? This is different. I can do this.
Do
And
you
but
do
it's
you
the
need
amount of money that is involved, right?
okay, so here's the thing. Are you willing to put 7,500 on proving something to somebody?
No, not really. No,
Okay.
that's silly.
So if you had said to me, I want to do this because this is for me, this is what I want to do, this is what I da 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 da, but you just told me I want to prove to somebody that I can, that they're wrong.
Probably to myself more than anybody. But yeah,
You did say somebody else too, right?
yeah, yeah.
So it starts with the small little commitments that start to build trust in yourself. But you got to do it for 30 days. So you
Gotcha.
pick something really small that you can commit to for 30 days, whether it's writing. I'm going to write a sentence. I'm going to write uh, an entry in my journal, right? Because writing is what you're thinking of doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to, you know, but small. I'm going to write a sentence, an affirmation every day, or I'm going to write, I don't know, something small every day.
Hmm.
If you think that's what you can do,
Yeah.
but you got to commit to that every day for 30 days, not just, so when you're up late or you got up late or you're sleeping in on a weekend, you still got to write that sentence every day for 30 days. Then you can go at the end of 30 days, look at what I just did. And you start to build that confidence and trust in
Right.
yourself. But you got to start small,
I know where I can start. And I understand. Yeah.
right? And
Okay.
if you find that after a couple of days it's getting hard to do whatever you're doing, you got to make it smaller,
Oh, okay.
right? It
Yep.
just might be you just took too big of a chunk, and that's okay. Just break it down.
Take a
But that's
small,
the first, yeah, that's the first step to self-commitment, to self-trust, building it up, then to self-love. Is just having that small commitment, and then you just add to it, right? But 30 days, keep to that, and then you can start adding to it. Yeah,
thank you. That's,
you're welcome.
I have a recording so I can listen to it again.
You're welcome. You're
Thank
welcome. You're welcome. Okay, Aubrey.
I'll lower my hand now, so I'll move and you'll have to find it there. Um, it's interesting because it's kind of right along the line of what Denise was saying, which is, I have all these decisions in front of me, and like I have to make some of them,
Mhm.
and I'm stuck in this place of fear because deep down, it's like one day I'll say, I need to just move to town. I need to let him have the house, let him have the farm, let him have the animals, let him have everything. Just move to town and take the kids there. And then the next minute, it's like, no, I don't want to live in town. And when I'm in town, I physically don't feel good. Like it's both of my kids have always lived out in the middle of nowhere. One of them's very introverted and loves it. The other one is like me, very extroverted and hates it. And so it's this balancing act where my soul is very quietly talking and it says one thing and I think, okay, I can hear that. I can absorb that. I can withhold, like I can hold the, not hold against, but I can like shore myself up for that storm of saying, we're gonna move into town. And this life that you've been promised and that we've done and that you love aspects of is gone. But there is this other piece of me that when we bought this land, I wept because it calls to me so much because we have like quartz veins that run from the north to the south, and it's just energetically, it is just phenomenal. And so if I stay, there are all these possibilities that open up, but I'm scared to accept those possibilities. Because it's much easier to be small and move to town,
So
which will benefit my youngest the best.
there's a couple of things that are coming up for me. You said that quiet voice is telling you, you know what the decision is. What are you afraid of if you follow that voice?
Well, it doesn't tell me what the decision is. It just says, the decision. And I'm like,
Ah, I love it when they do that.
I'm just
Okay,
like, And then I go in and I'm like, okay. And their answer is just be a mother. Drop everything else and just be the mother. And I'm like, okay, drop everything else, just be the mother. But I still have to make money.
so what are
And then
you
being the
afraid?
mother
Yeah.
has nothing to do with like my location.
So tell me, because what I feel like when I heard you talk about that, I heard you say, okay, moving into town is kind of your first instinct. But you're afraid of what you're going to lose if you move to town. But what about what you might gain?
And literally the only thing that I gain being in town is more opportunity for the kids and then like more people connections for me, which can be huge, but also very
That's the
draining.
only thing you'll ever gain
Well,
from moving
to
into
me,
town.
it's like living in town because I've not like I lived in Chicago, I've lived in the suburb, like I've lived and there's too many people. Like I get so incredibly overwhelmed and I just get
Right?
all of that. And so it's to me, it's like being there are opportunities. And like that's what I gain. I gain opportunities.
If you
But
move
if
into
I
town, are you stuck there?
No, but I have to go there.
Yeah. But are you stuck there? Are you stuck there?
No,
Does it
no,
have to be permanent?
no.
Okay. So it feels like you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to make the right decision. Neither of them are permanent.
Yeah.
Neither.
Well, and that's the
You're not stuck.
question that might like comes up is really all I want is the kids to have stability
Mhm.
because in 7 years I can go do whatever I want. I can
Yep.
be wherever I want. I can live in
Yep.
Bali.
Yep. You can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
Well, you could go, I mean, you could figure out how to do that now too if you wanted, but not right now. I know you've got to
Yeah.
work through some things, but you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whatever choice you make right now, you're not stuck with.
Yeah.
You're making the best choice for you right now. And whatever choice you make is going to open yourself up to the opportunities that are waiting for you. But sitting in here not making a choice does not open up those opportunities because you're still like stuck in this. I got to make this choice. Do you have to make this choice right now? Like, is it an immediate choice that you have to make?
He's given me 5 months to make the choice. And
Okay.
so he's getting very impatient.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, that's not even true. That's a story. That's a creation.
Ooh,
The
look at that.
reality is, yeah,
Nice.
the reality is next February,
Yeah.
he either renews the lease that he's renting across the road,
Yeah.
or I go get a lease somewhere else.
Yeah.
But because we're starting mediation, there is this within me. It's like, this is one of the court things we have to decide.
Mm-hmm.
And so he does not want to lose this property because he understands that once the kids are gone, I won't stay here permanently. That's what he believes. But I'm like, well, actually, if you're completely gone and I completely own it and I can renovate how I want to and I can build my retreat space I want, then actually, bye bye, this is mine. um, so he's very much like, I want the kids to have this thing that neither of us had growing up. A house that they can bring their kids to have Christmas and Thanksgiving and we can coordinate and we can be adults and we can get along and we can be the grandparents. We can give our kids this life. And so we both have this vision and this dream of what 20 years from now it can be and it will be if we navigate right now. And so for me, maybe that's the biggest part is how do I live right now and say it's going to be okay, whatever happens in 20 years, because I might get hit by a bus driving into town tomorrow.
So here's the thing, and it's interesting that this is coming up because what's coming up really strongly for me is so I moved out of the house with my kids and moved us into a new house because my ex decided he wanted to have the house to pass on to the kids, blah 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 blah. Guess what? It didn't happen. Because as we grew and we figured things out, we figured out how to do life. The kids figured out how to do life. And we're good. We have a good life. I have a really good relationship with my kids. My kids are happy. You know, one of them lives an hour and a half plane ride away. The other one's thinking of going. So I have one that's in the province next to me, and one of them's thinking about going 2 provinces away. So you putting so much stock into this property doesn't guarantee that you're going to have this vision that you've 20 years down the way. In fact, there's a good chance that it won't happen, right? So I think it's really, really important that you take the pressure off of yourself with this property.
Mm-hmm.
I know you feel the energy there, and I'm not discounting it, but it's just a place. You can find, if you need to, you can find another place when you're ready to
Mm-hmm.
do all those things you want to do. But
Yeah.
it's time to take the pressure off that whatever decision you make right now is going to impact you 20 years from now. Right?
Right. Right.
Because you're not taking into account what your kids are going to do when they grow older, and they might not even be in the same city. And they might not want to, you might visit them at Christmas. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. And so it's time to just take that pressure off yourself that this decision has that much impact.
Yeah.
Because it's driving you squirrely.
It is, because every day it's I'm out milking the goats and I'm like, I don't want to get rid of my goats. I love this. I want to have the goats. I want to milk the goats. Then, like the next day, one of them is being obnoxious and she's headbutting me and I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm done. Like,
Darn
nobody even
goat.
cares. Nobody, whatever. Just go buy milk at the grocery store. And then it's this like it feels, yeah, I need to just all of it needs to stop being so, yeah.
You need to stop putting the pressure on yourself that whatever decision you make is going to have that much impact. You know what I'm saying? You're not stuck
Mhm.
there. So
Right.
if you love being on this property and you love the goats, you love the energy, and this is what makes you feel good and joy, then say that. But if you're like, you know what, I'm not sure that I love what I'm doing here, but maybe right now isn't the right time for this, that's okay too. It doesn't mean you won't get it again,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Because
Just
things can ebb and flow.
right. That if and I'm not saying you need to move into town or you need to stay. I'm just saying take this pressure off of you that if you move away, you're never going to have it again, and this property won't be here, and your family won't be happy in 20 years. You see how that's swirling?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will be okay. You'll be okay. The kids will be okay. And right now, you've just got to make the best decision you can with what you have.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Just got to make the best decision you have with or you can with what you have. And you're not stuck. You're not
Yeah.
stuck.
Yeah.
Right? Take that pressure off. Ooh, I can feel that. I can feel that, just this. Woo! 20 years from now, it's not going to matter.
Mhm. And it's like you're saying yesterday, just physically just
Life
all
it off,
done.
right? And then, remind yourself that you're not stuck. Whatever decision you make, you're not stuck. And then you can just go in. I don't have to think about 20 years from now. I've just got to think about what is right for me now.
Yeah.
What is right for me
Thank you.
now? Yeah, you're welcome. You're
Mm.
welcome. Presents, remember, keep it in the present. Because, we can creating from what we dream we want to have rather than from where we are leads to a whole lot of heartache. It doesn't mean,
Yes.
right? It doesn't mean that we can't create what we want in our lives. But to create it, we got to go from where we are. So take the pressure off. The pressure off. What would be good for me and the kids right now?
Bali.
Make it happen.
Sell the place and just go to Bali.
Do you know what
Oh
I'm
man.
saying? And then
Yeah.
remind yourself you're not stuck.
Yeah.
If it turns out, wow, that sure didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to be. It doesn't matter. That's the step you were supposed to take. That was how your journey was supposed to be, right? We get
Yeah.
so fearful that we're taking the wrong step that we take no step at all.
And indecision is still a choice. So it's
Exactly. Not making a choice is still a choice,
tell
right?
it to all my clients.
Funny that, right? We're sometimes our worst client, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So just take the
Thank you.
pressure off. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome,
Yeah,
Aubrey.
thank you.
Okay. I don't see any more hands up. Does anybody else want a little bit of guidance? All right, Gail. Oh, come on and unmute.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Gail.
Anybody else who's going to put their hand up?
That's okay. We've got time.
We had time. Okay. Well, it was interesting when you open the Akashic records. I go out a really swirling head, not dizzy, but just swirling.
Yeah.
And then as I was sitting here thinking, well, what question, what would I like to ask, or what should I direct? I got this increasing headache, just
Mhm.
an odd headache. Wasn't a migraine headache, which is this really big heaviness. And then I just said, oh, phew, I'm just let it go. Just whatever the message is, I will listen. I can't direct this anymore.
Ah.
I can't direct it. So I'm here to listen.
Oh. One of these, hey? Yeah.
Just listen.
Just listen. It's this headache. I feel like, just like you took that headache as a sign to just listen, that sometimes the headaches, when they come at you, are a little bit of a sign that you're holding on to things. It's like you were holding on to it there. Oh, what am I supposed to ask? That as you move forward and that, sometimes those headaches are just telling you you're holding on too tight to the control, and that it's time to let go of that story a little bit. That story of interesting. I don't usually speak like this in stories, and that we hold on to stories. This has been new with this group, so it's an interesting thing. But you've been holding on to this story with your headaches for so long, and that now that sort of that migraine is gone, to listen to what they're saying. And part of that is that it's allowing a little less, allowing not having to take so much control, whether it's worrying about how things are going to go, or whether it's worrying about whether you can do things. You're giving yourself actually a headache worrying about those things. Worrying about getting a headache is actually giving you a headache. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Overthinking it.
Right? You know how I call it with people that have anxiety, and I've worked with it a lot. We tend to worry about worry. So we create anxiety because we're worrying that we're going to get anxious. It's kind of that same thing that's happening for you, that you're worrying that a headache is going to impact your ability to enjoy a vacation or enjoy a visit or go out and do this thing that it's actually being created. And to start to change that story, that you have to worry about it, that you can let go of some of that worry, that an impact, that a headache is going to impact something you're doing. And here's the thing is that, yes, you've had that, but you've had many things where you haven't had a headache. And that the days that you have, and I'm not talking migraine, I'm talking about headache, you've done okay, and you've adjusted, and it wasn't as big of a deal as you thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so to take some of that worry and that pressure off yourself, that a headache is going to ruin the plans that you have, or what you want to do, where you want to go next. and to just allow yourself to experience it. If you get a headache, you get a headache, and you move forward.
Mhm.
That it doesn't need to stop you anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just telling you. The headache today was very clearly telling you stop trying to take control,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And so I believe that that's the message that you're getting, is that it's time, when one of those things are coming on, a headache or whatever, it's time to look at, okay, what am I trying to control right now? What am I worrying about? And be open to changing your story, that headaches will ruin the good things that you have planned. That doesn't have to be your story anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just telling you, okay, stop. Stop sitting in this worry. Stop sitting in this control. Allow yourself to enjoy things.
Hmm.
It's time. I know you're not used to that anymore.
No.
Right? And so now it's time. It's time to allow yourself some joy and some fun. Start small. Commit to one thing, just like I was talking with Denise there. Commit to doing one thing every day that you enjoy. Small thing. I don't care. Reading a joke, watching a show that makes you laugh, talking to somebody who gives you joy, whatever you can commit to every day that's small, that gives you joy, do it every day for 30 days. Start there. Start building joy back in your life again. You deserve it.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds right on.
And it's doable. You can do that. Bring joy back in, whatever it is. Commit to one thing every day. Can you commit to one thing every day?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. All right. Same thing every day. Just one small thing that gives you joy. Commit to that for 30 days. And then you can start bringing in more joy. If you have more joy than that one thing, great. You don't have to just stop at that one thing. But we want at least that one thing every day for 30 days.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thanks, Gail.
Thanks.
All right, Elaine.
I don't have a specific question, but as Gail asked you the question, my question to you is, do you have anything specific for me? Is that possible in a group session?
You know what's coming up for me right now, Elaine, is that you okay, so the words that are coming, you're way more clever than I think you even realize you are. I don't know. I know you're smart, right? You're trained as a lawyer, you have the intelligence, but I don't know that you realize how clever you truly are. Yeah. And that is quite a thing to have, right? And that cleverness is going to take you like so far. I love it when you laugh and you smile. Like it's beautiful, and I love your sense of humor. Your sense of okay, enjoyment is the word that's coming to me, and it's time to enjoy. It's time to enjoy. In regards to things with your sons, I know that you talked about that before, and like when I talked about relationships and putting boundaries on, these are the things that were important for you to hear as well. That I know it's not terrible. It's not that you have a terrible relationship with your sons, but that there's sometimes you've got to say, all right, enough. This is how I want to see it. And you need to see me the way I am. Clever, funny, smart, not just a mother. I mean, a mother is amazing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a mother. I'm a mother and I love being a mother, but that it's time to allow yourself to be seen. That clever, funny, joyful Elaine, it's time for that to be seen, not just you're smart.
I have been told on more than one occasion that I don't know who I am
Oh,
in terms of, my potentials and things like that. But then the statement stops there without any further elaboration in terms of perhaps why they say what they say.
I love it when that gets thrown out there like that, right? You know who you are. Elaine, don't believe it when people say that you don't know who you are. Sometimes you just don't. It's not accept, that's not the word. Sometimes you just don't see yourself for all you are. But you know who you are. I see it when like you said, like when you find something humorous and your face lights up. I see it when you ask a question because you're not sure. I see it when you're like, hey, I just need to let you know this. Right? And lots of people won't do that. It's a skill. It's a skill, and you have that confidence to do that. So, in the things that you do, you know who you are. And so, stop allowing people to tell you that you don't know who you are and allow yourself to be. Because I think you've started to think you don't know who you are.
Interestingly enough, I've found that for the last couple of weeks because I've been doing a lot of introspection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was strengthened even more so after listening to the summit that you had. And I've been actually going back, trying to see Elaine from the as you said, I'm smart, where I was in school, what I did in school, how I performed in school, and things like that. And then I did reach a point where I started doubting myself and my abilities. But then I found myself reminded, but when you were at this point, look at what you were doing with your as maybe uh, preteens, and then all the different things that I've done in spite of. And I started going back because for too long I was subsumed in everybody else's lives,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure is a lot of you may be familiar with.
I
My
get you.
children, my siblings, my parents, my husbands,
Yeah.
and then in 2013, following 3 deaths, mother, father, husband, I was left alone,
Figure out who Elaine is.
asking the question one day, who am I? Because I
Mhm.
didn't know. And this is what has led me on this journey in terms of perhaps, maybe, if not discovering, rediscovering.
I think the
Um,
important word there, Elaine, is rediscovering. It's always been there. You have always been there. And it's rediscovering who you are and then figuring out how you want that to look as you move forward. Because again, you're not stuck. This is who Elaine has been. All, life is, in this instant, like you said, preteens, teens, adult, mother, wife, daughter, friend, da 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 da. Those all have led you to where you are today. and who you are. But who you are doesn't mean you have to stay there. I don't know if I said that right. You can grow from there, right?
Mhm.
And so this concept that you don't know who you are, it just, I hate it when people say that. It just blows your confidence. Geez, I thought I knew. You've been who you are all the way along. Now it's just rediscovering the things that you like, the things that make you feel passionate, things that make you feel joy, because for so long you did that for everybody else. And I talk about this, and doing some of the things and asking, well, what do I like? How do I want to wear my hair today? And the other thing is, what do I want for supper today? For so long I made supper for my kids or for my spouse, and I wanted to make sure, what do I want for supper? To start thinking in those ways, small ways, but what makes me feel good? What do I want to wear today that makes me feel good? Not what's next in the closet, but when I look at what's in there, what makes me feel joy in this moment? So it's really just continuing to ask yourself, what brings me joy? Because I don't know that you need to keep doing all this introspection. You know who you are, you know who you've been. Now it's time to kind of discover what makes you feel joy. What makes you feel passion?
I not think. I know what I need to do, and I'm actually working on it,
Mm-hmm.
um, and getting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my passions is empowering women.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very, very, very strongly about it.
Right. So who says you don't know who you are? Right? Don't believe them. Don't believe them. You got lots of discovery. I still have discovery to see who I am, right? And where I'm going and what brings me joy. There's always a discovery process. Don't let them say that. This is coming from me, and I don't know who's told you that, and I feel badly if they're actually really good people, but sometimes you get that because they want you to work with them to discover who you are. And
Yeah,
you know who you are. You know who you are, and you get to discover it. You want to empower women? Go for it. You can do that.
yeah, that's confirming
Yeah,
one of the reasons why I'm here now.
yeah, it's beautiful. Try not to worry that you don't know who you are, because you do, and you're discovering your path. You're just discovering more and more about yourself. Take the pressure off. There's something that was told to me, and I know I've said it a few times on a few of my things because it comes up. We have this worry that we're not living our purpose. What's my purpose? I got to discover it out there. Maybe if I talk to this person, I'll find my purpose. What's my purpose? It's over there. And guess what? It's not out there. It's in here. But the other thing that was told to me that really resonated with me is our soul's purpose is to grow. That's why our soul is here, is to grow. And that's what we're doing on this journey. Our soul is learning and growing on this journey. So in being here and taking these steps and being on this journey, we're already living our purpose. We are already living our purpose. And we have all of these beautiful things that come at us that we can share with others so that we can help their souls learn and on their journey. But that's our purpose. We're already living it. How about that? Let's take that pressure off. right?
That's a very interesting way of looking at it in terms of purpose, Leslie. I've
Mm-hmm.
never heard it being put that way.
I know.
Since whatever we're doing from day to day, month to month, it is what we have been meant to do at that specific time,
Right.
rather than feeling that it has to be something very, very specific. Maybe for some it is, um, but for others,
Or feeling like we haven't arrived or whatever it
yeah,
is, right? No, we're already living our purpose. Now it's time to say what brings me joy, what brings me passion, and put that into the world, because the more we are passionate and joyful and inspired, the more we give permission to others to do the same. But we're already living our purpose. You don't have to be, you don't have to arrive anywhere. You're already here, exactly where you're supposed to be. Take the pressure off.
yeah. I said I wasn't going to ask any questions.
Okay, I know we're like almost on 2 hours here, so I want to make sure I get to everybody, because I know Jennifer had her hand up.
Yeah,
So I want
thanks
to make
much,
sure.
Leslie.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is my pleasure, Elaine. It's my
yeah, we will continue to speak.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. I love that. Okay, Jennifer, you had your hand up and I saw it go down, but I'm assuming you still wanted to chat.
Yes, I work at a school, so we might have some announcements. I'll cut it off. It's almost the end of the day. Um, when you were talking about like the neck and shoulder tension, that really spoke to me. So uh is my neck and shoulder holding on to past relationships? I've thought in the past it was stress. And I've learned to not say, "Oh, I keep my stress here," but
Right.
it still comes and goes. So,
Right. We talked about this and where you hold your emotions, and the neck and the shoulders are definitely a place where you can hold your emotions, right? And that is often that stress. When I feel it in the Akashic records, it's more symbolic than it is kind of in that way. And the neck and the shoulders, and this must have resonated with you for a minute, is usually because we're holding on to false responsibility. So we are holding on to responsibilities that are not ours to carry. So if that resonated with you, then this is let me just see. Like I Most times when we're holding on to responsibilities, we're taking care of things or trying to be responsible for somebody else's happiness or somebody else's, you know, well-being, when it's not our responsibility, and we will never, ever, ever give them the happiness or the well-being that we strive to give them, because it's their responsibility. Um, so that's when I talk about the neck and shoulders, with this, it's most often that. So what false responsibility are you holding on to?
um, I've been over responsible most of my life. I think
Mhm.
right now it's my kid, but and
How old is your
the kid just turned 18, is going to graduate in 3 weeks. So, like, I'm perimenopausal, everything's cry. So, um, yeah, we have a lot of life changes coming up, but you know, I've
son?
tried so hard to raise her and
Her daughter? Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, daughter and
daughter.
break generational curses. It's been great most of the time, parenting's up and down. But we're in a good place. So I guess I feel most responsible for her.
The thing when so my girl, I have three girls, and I've made it through the teenage years with all of them. My youngest is now 20, so I get what you're saying. That there's this transition that happens, kind of from 16 to 20, where we start to kind of ease off our responsibility. They start to take it on, and we start to see kind of falters, and sometimes it's hard not to want to jump in and rescue or to be there for everything. And I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's not a horrible thing to want to be there for your child. But we also need to really let them grow too, and to make mistakes, and to not always rescue.
Mhm.
Now, does that mean we leave them in a pile of mire? No. But there's quite a balance that goes on there with kids. But I feel like there's something else there. It's not just your daughter. So it's something you really need to really look at the things that you're doing, especially in regards to other people, parents, work,
Work is a big thing. I
work.
went through a lot of burnout. I feel like I'm coming out of burnout with my career, but I'm still hesitant to jump back in. I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Uh,
I've
yes,
been on this healing journey for a while. 2020 really spurred me on into like IFS and
yeah.
more opened me up to more things than I had as a child. So,
Right, right. So it's really, really important in work that you're not, it's going to come out really funny, but you're not the end all to be all. You don't have to do it all. And it's funny because I've read this a few times on Facebook. The problem with being the one that's like does it all, you just get more on you,
mhm,
right? You just get piled more on you. And so it's important that, again, talking those boundaries, when I talked about boundaries with like relationships, close relationships, it also is relationships at work, or, those kinds of things, in saying, I want to do this, I want to be part of this. These are my boundaries.
mhm.
And it's okay to say no, even to a boss.
Yes.
It's okay to say no. No, that's not something I can do. And no is a complete sentence. And it's sometimes hard to say that as a complete sentence without wanting to explain all the reasons you can't do it. It's okay to say no. No. But your neck and your shoulders are really telling you, yeah, it's a sign of stress, but it's also telling you that you're taking on things that aren't yours. So when you
Okay.
start to feel that, it's important because stress often for you comes on because you're taking on things that aren't yours.
Mhm.
So when you start to feel that, start to really look at the things you're doing and thinking, is this mine to carry?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Jennifer. You're welcome. Okay, Jessica, I saw you had your hand up. Were you still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm just gonna close the patio door for a second.
Yeah.
Hi. I didn't have anything specific, but I am in kind of a transitional period. So I was just wondering if you had anything for me.
Yeah, tell me what's going on. Transitional.
Mm, um, I've been off work for a little bit because I had some mental health issues. And so that time is coming to an end. I don't quite know if that's a healthy place for me to go back to, but if I can't find something else, that's what we're looking at pretty soon. So just feeling a little bit like apprehensive about the future, not really
sure.
knowing if that's what I should do, or if this is a great opportunity to transition to something else.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, just the fact that you're thinking about, is this a good opportunity for me to transition to something else? It probably is. You may have to go back to work just to bring the money in, but while you transition, but this is a great time while you're off. How much longer are you off for, Jessica?
Like maybe the end of the month, possibly, and that's a being like the end of the month, probably. Yeah.
Okay, so you got a month to really, so you kind of have taken your time to kind of work through.
Just gonna grab.
Yeah, you've taken your time to work through some of the mental health things that kind of kept you from being at work. And now it's time to start focusing on what's next. What, it's kind of like the conversation I was having with Elaine, but a little bit different. In when you think about what's next, it's okay to think about joy and being happy. When you've had kind of, mental health stuff, it's hard sometimes to come to that point to think, can I have joy? Can I have passion? Because it's challenging to work through that. And the answer is yes, you can. And you're worthy of it. And it doesn't matter what I don't mean it doesn't matter what your struggle with mental health was. It does matter, but it doesn't matter for your worthiness and for you being able to start saying, okay, what would bring me joy?
Yeah.
That I mean, I think you already answered it in saying, I don't think this work is healthy for me. And saying it's probably time to look at what's next. But looking at it, so don't look at it as I'm trying to escape this because it's not good for me. Look at it as, what do I want to move to?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? The difference in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so thinking in that way allows you to bring in more of what you want rather than escaping one to go to another one that sucks, right? And so, but when you get back to work and you start working with your people there on return to work and all of that stuff that goes with that, make sure that you are being assertive with what you can and cannot do, and how much you can do. I'm not sure if insurance is kind of involved, like, or,
Yeah.
or disability or any of those things, but you need to be clear that, you know, I'm not sure that you can jump from being off to going back into full time. So, really be clear with that with your person through disability, that it's got to be kind of a modified and kind of going back in. And while you're doing that, you can start to think about what do I want to do instead. Part of being on disability, the challenge that there is that you got to prove you're sick to
Yeah.
keep the
Which
funding.
I don't want to do because I feel better now. So
Right.
that's also why, like, they want to do some invasive things. And I'm also like, I feel better, and I feel like I want to be done with this chapter. I
Right.
don't really want to identify as like some days I still really do feel bad. I'll be honest. But
Yeah.
I have been feeling better than I was for quite some time. So I do feel like I'm kind of on the other end of it. And I also am feeling some pressure too, because I don't want to identify with that. I don't want to have, I want to have more agency. And so if I'm not like sick and depending on that, then I don't have to feel like that. I really struggled when I initially went off work because I wasn't sure if I was like sick enough, but I was, working from bed every day. I wasn't doing anything other than that.
Yeah.
I was quite unwell. I was like dissociating and stuff.
Right. And you
So
were.
yeah, I do feel better. So I'm ready for a new chapter. I was trying to find somewhere else to work, but if I can't, I have to just do what I can do. So yeah, a little nervous, obviously, about the change, but I think it's time for a change for me.
Good. Good. I'm glad that you're looking at it that way because, like I was saying, that to get the funding while you're taking the time that you need And you got to think about this. You paid into that insurance or that, through your work and all that. So this isn't
Mhm.
like money that, you're getting for free. Like you worked for that. So this time that you're
Yeah.
taking, um, but there's this kind of pressure on you to be sick, to keep proving you're sick. And you can get into that. How do I prove I'm sick? And I love that what you're saying is, I don't want to be that anymore. I don't
Yeah.
want to be in that mode where I'm sick. So that the challenge is transitioning out of that funding and going into kind of work that is hard, that, can trigger some of those things. So being really, really clear
Yeah.
on how much you can do, where you can, how, the return to work is a challenge, can be challenging. And at the same time, just really thinking, rather than I want to find another job, what do I want to do? What do I want it to look like? What do I want? What would I love? Okay, here's another one of my speakers, Lynn Trenchell says, what would I love to do? Not even what I want. What would I love to do? And if you think about it from that way, you can start to make the choices that go in that direction. I mean, in the meantime, we got to pay our bills, right?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. So you got to do some things, but you also have to keep watching your health, your mental health, right? And so keep in touch with those people that help with that and support with that as you're going through this transition. You've got kind of a month to start saying, okay, what would I love? What would I love my life to look like? What would I love my work or my career to look like? And then you can start making those plans. And even as you're going back to this job, you can start to make the plans on the exit on the other side,
Yeah. Yeah. And then
right?
it won't feel as bad. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to give you lots of like props here because it's hard to go from that proving you're sick all the time and staying in that sick role to coming to the other side and saying, I'm tired of this. I don't want to have to do this anymore. I want to be well. So good for you, because that's a tough transition to make to get to that point. That's one of the failings with the insurance industry is they don't see that what they're doing when you're having to try and prove you're sick all the time. You stay sick. But you've said, I don't want to stay sick anymore. I want to be well. And so good for you. Um that's actually really big. So,
Yeah. I want to feel like I used to feel and do think like we used to go on vacations and, things like that. So
yeah,
that's what I want to do.
right.
Um, have some feel like normalcy.
Yeah, yeah. It might be a bit of a new normal. It might be a bit of a
Yeah.
new normal. And that's okay too, but really go on it from what would I love to do? What would I love life to look like? And move toward that rather than, like I said, escaping the other thing. Move toward what you would love. And you might find you move to a different place, and you're like, oh, this was not what I was thinking. What you've learned along the way, or there might be somebody at that new place that is the connection that you need that takes you to the next, right?
Yeah.
There's always things. You're not stuck.
Yeah.
These classes are driving me crazy. Oh, they're not staying up. Oh, goodness. Does that make sense, Jessica?
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
does.
I feel a lot of real hopefulness for you
Good.
in this kind of next season and moving through this. Um, give yourself the credit you deserve for coming through this to be able to say, I want to be well. Because
Yeah.
lots
It
of
took
people,
a while.
it doesn't matter how long it took. There's lots of people that don't get to that point. And you've done that without somebody saying, you have to be well now. You've decided, you've made the choice, it's time. And so remember, you're going to have times that are rougher and times you're not going to feel as good. And that's just normal.
Hmm.
That's normal, and try not to put those kind of down days as, oh, I'm going back. You got to keep an eye on it, but they don't, it doesn't have to go back. It could just be a down moment or a down day. Keep that in mind as you're going. But you got stuff that I think is, you got some opportunity coming up, my dear. You do. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I think I got through everybody. Look at us. Look at us. Except for a lot. I haven't talked to you, Eliza. Do you want to chat? No. Okay.
No, I think everybody's given me little bits of nuggets that are all super helpful. There was a lot that is applicable to my current situation. So yeah, no, thanks to everybody. Yeah.
Mhm. It's such a beautiful space, the Akashic Records, and being here and the healing. You're going to feel this over the next couple of weeks too. Anytime we go into the Akash on your behalf, you probably get some insights. You'll probably feel that little bit for the next couple of weeks. So, if you have something you want to update me on, please feel free to email me or message me and just let me know kind of what's kind of come, because it's exciting for me too to see where you guys are going when we do this. Now, I told you about what I probably wasn't supposed to tell you according to, business coaches. But this is something that we do in the sisterhood that I'm building every month. It's just like this to share in the Akashic Records. I'm going to put that link in the email I'll send out with the replays, and we'll have time to talk about that on Monday. I love the group and the community that we're building here, and I just think it's a beautiful community to keep going. So, now the weekend, catch up on things, catch up on those, those things that that you were to do for the home practice. I forgot, I have a sheet for today. Really, I'm not going to put it up there. I just want you to write down some of the insights that you received. So just journal it a little bit, write down what impacted you during this Akashic session, and what things you'll take forward, which, what this is spurring you to do, moving forward. So do that with the journaling, and go back, watch the replays. I'm going to try and do, if you didn't get the replay from yesterday, there's a reason. I forgot to record. So I'm going to try and retape that tomorrow sometime, probably in the morning. So you'll have access to that. So go through them, and on Monday, it's all Q&A. It's just a bonus. We get to spend the time together and just chat. Okay. All right. It's been wonderful. Yeah, Elaine?
On Monday, is there a particular link for it?
It's the it's the normal 10 o'clock link. It's the normal 10 a.m. Mountain, noon Eastern, 9 a.m.
Okay,
Pacific link. It's that one.
okay. Which would
And
mean 12 o'clock my time.
yeah, noon
Okay,
Eastern. Yeah, it's
okay,
that link. It's the same link that we've been using. It just these extra bonuses didn't get into that meeting thing in Zoom, and I couldn't add it. So that's why we had a challenge with this. But
okay,
those
great.
ones are in that one. So, and you will get a reminder, hopefully. Elaine, just message me to let me know if you got that or not. I'm going to check the CRM because it'll tell me if it's sent the email to you. So just message me and let me know, because I want to make sure on my end that that's working. But
Okay, great. I will.
all right. So
Thank
enjoy
you
the
so much,
weekend.
Leslie.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'll see you all Monday, same place, 10 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. All right, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a wonderful weekend.
You as well, everyone.
Yeah,
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
see
Thank
you.
you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We'll see you, everybody.